date night edition of Drive Home Review. See, we got all dolled up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, isn't she beautiful?
Oh, hush. Isn't
she lovely? Feel free to be jealous, folks, but she's taken. Yeah. So we went for sushi and movie. We were juggling which movie we were gonna see.
Yes.
Oh, pardon me, my voice cracked there.
Really, up until we bought the tickets.
Yeah, because there was a couple different contenders, and just by circumstance of when we finally got out of dinner and what the times were, Jungle Cruise won out. And I got to admit, I was hesitant about this one. Mm-hmm. Not because I thought it looked bad from the trailers, but mainly because it felt like it was a
contrived, forced.
It felt like another attempt from Disney to try to recapture the magic that was the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Right.
That blend of originality and unique characters and actors and energy that just kind of made that first Pirates of the Caribbean movie so kind of a must-see. And then, of course, it
just died out after
they ruined it after that, you know. But anyway, so I don't know. It's basically, if The Rock is in a family comedy, it's probably going to be watchable. Yeah. At the very least.
Yeah, even the stuff he did a long time ago was still pretty watchable.
Yeah, but I was a little concerned, but I'm happy to say that I think those concerns were allayed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a pretty fun little film.
Speed bumps.
Little film in that it cost God knows how much.
And it is playing like 27 times in places, just in Memphis, let alone anywhere else.
So, one of those adorable tiny little indie movies that, The Rock fucking does for scale.
Yeah. So, we have The Rock, Emily Blunt. Mm-hmm. Okay, kind of a packed movie. All right. The Rock, Emily Blunt, Jack Whitehall, Paul Giamatti, Edgar Ramirez, Jesse Plemons. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people in this movie.
Sorry, this is...
And, there's a lot of extras, but for a Disney big adventure movie, there's not a lot of characters.
Yeah, they kept the characters fairly small, mm-hmm. and the character list fairly concise. So, if you haven't heard, so Emily Blunt is a female adventurer scientist, and she's damn determined that she's gonna find some mystical plant that grows in the Amazon that cures everything, a fountain of youth, essentially. Right. But not in name. But of course,
not really a fountain of youth, like a cure-all. It's like a panacea kind of medicine that she can use to cure any kind of ills that are going on in the world.
Oh, shit. Sorry. I don't have my usual... I'm going to let her fix it. She's good at this. I don't have my usual clamshell.
There we go.
That I normally use. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, sorry for the technical difficulties. Anywho, and of course, again, this is where the Pirates of the Caribbean similarity comes in. Of course, it has a curse, and people who tried to find it long ago have been cursed to guard it, and blah, blah, blah. Yes. And she goes to the Amazon with her brother. They enlist the help of The Rock. They set out. There's adventure. There's a German after it.
Yes.
You're not even a Nazi, because they weren't Nazis yet.
No. This was during the Great War, the First World War. So, yeah, no, not Nazis yet.
But very much Nazi adjacent.
Well, pre-Nazi. But
the prequel.
It was...
Nazi prequel.
Okay, let's talk about Jesse Plemons as Prince Joachim for a minute. Jesse Plemons... Okay, first of all, Jesse Plemons looks like... He looks like Matt Damon went back in time with a time machine and got a little bit younger, but something went a little wonky. He
looks like Matt Damon got stung by a bee.
Okay.
And swelled up.
But Everything I've seen him in, he has been fantastic in. Not fantastic as in, I'm like, I love this character. More fantastic as in, oh, this guy. Oh. And like, you dislike him so much, and then you're like, I suppose that makes him a very good actor.
If that's the goal of the character, yes.
Yes. Because, like, I think that he came across exactly like the character was supposed to. Like, I think he was exactly what that character was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Down to the creepy, slightly thin red mustache.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. The movie was a little bit in danger of having too many villains, but I think in the long run it worked out for it.
Well, I kind of liked it because you didn't really know who to trust or who was going to come through in the end. Because you were kind of the only real, hero protagonist in this is Emily Blunt's character, Lily. I think she's the only real one who we know has pure intentions. And she just wants to go get the medicine. She wants to, explore. She's going to do whatever it takes. Now, the character of Lily, I was pretty impressed with the character of Lily.
Okay.
I told you coming out of the theater, she's female Indiana Jones. Like, she's holding her own, which, in a movie with The Rock, you kind of expect most of the action sequences to be with The Rock.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
But that's not really how this was. Like, she held her own in the fight scenes, and her brother held his own for, in some of it. So I think that the action was kind of equally shared there.
And the action, again, this is a good comparison to the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the first one. The action was very fun. It was, of course, overly choreographed, but in a good way.
Right.
Because the movie's based on an amusement park ride.
Right.
So it doesn't bug me in this one so much as it does in others where there's a lot of stuff that just could not happen because, it's a fucking amusement park ride.
Right.
But yeah, the action was very well choreographed, and you're right. They played to each of the characters' kind of strengths. With The Rock with brute strength, Emily Blunt more, clever and thinks on her feet.
Right.
Her brother, what was his name? McGregor. Like Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Was a little bit more slick and, dodgy. In terms of he dodged a lot.
Right.
So I think that they made the action scenes, and it's a lot of action. I think in your comparison to an Indiana Jones movie, I like that, the action is big and exciting and fun to watch, and there's a lot of action beats, and you never really got tired of the action. It was all a lot of,
yes.
Because action movies can get very boring very quickly.
Yes.
Or they can get really silly really quickly. It's a fine line to find that kind of sweet spot.
And I think that part of it is that they really interspersed it with, thinking aspects of it. Like, there was a couple of things in here that we both were like, oh, like, we didn't really get what's going to happen until it happened.
Yeah.
Some
actually genuinely
twisty twists.
I'm going to say that one of the other things, just judging from the trailer, this is why you got to be careful when you judge things from the trailer. Watching the trailer, I was thinking I would not have cast The Rock.
Really?
In this role. From the trailer. Just from the character they presented in the trailer. I was thinking you need someone who's a little
slimier.
Not slimier, but a little not quite as powerful.
Right.
The Rock. They were the trailers portrayed it as kind of a Humphrey Bogart African queen.
Oh, yeah.
Drunken kind of, and The Rock is too big and too well put together. I was thinking, Hugh Jackman would have been better for the role based on
they were remaking the African queen.
Based on the trailer.
Right.
But with the story and some of the plot twists that comes up, you're like, that's why okay.
Yeah.
That works. So again, this is why you shouldn't judge things by the trailer. Sometimes the trailers give it away, and sometimes they get you enough just to get into the theaters. Sometimes they do their job. I'm harping on this because I like when a movie trailer is misleading like this. So I give the advertising department full marks.
So I did think he did a really good job in this. I think probably at least on par, if not better, than his Jumanji role.
Yeah. But The Rock knows his sweet spot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He knows what he's good at, and he plays it. And that's why, like I say, even a not great Dwayne Johnson movie is still watchable.
Oh yeah.
You know, because he knows how to play his part. I don't think he's as good an actor as like Dave Bautista.
Oh, I really like Dave Bautista.
But he knows his shit.
So,
and he and Emily Blunt had some pretty good chemistry.
They did. They worked really well together.
A lot of great comic chemistry.
Oh, and some great lines, just like really great lines.
Okay, now I gotta ask, because it's probably a point we're gonna disagree on.
Okay.
So, what did you think of the romance between The Rock and Emily Blunt?
Okay, I thought it made sense to me.
Okay.
Because he's more intelligent than he lets off. And that appeals to her professorial kind of, aspect. Also, she talks about wanting to go on adventures and explore and find new things and like go and physically do the things. And in The Rock, or not The Rock, but in The Skipper, which is his character, like that is
not the Gilligan Island skipper.
No, God, no.
Anyway,
that is a partner who can go with her and be an equal partner in her adventures. So the romance made sense to me.
Okay.
So you didn't like it?
It's not that I didn't like the characters or the way they interacted. It's just I feel like a love story is very tacked on in a lot of films. Okay. And I felt like you could have gotten everything else from this, even the character connection that you're talking about, if they were just friends.
Oh, yes. You really, really want a just friends movie.
I'm just saying, when I look at the film and I look at the arc and the story and I say, is a love story necessary here?
Okay, but the sacrifice that he makes at the end, would someone feasibly do that for just a friend?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so.
I like the relationship because to me, I like it more than a lot of like the moony, goopy love story relationships, because to me, it's a partnership in which you both have a shared interest and you're working together to be successful in that shared interest. Like that seems more romantic to me than a lot of goopy stuff.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I thought they could have done without. They could have kept the relationship, just not made a romantic relationship. Personally.
So speaking of romantic relationships, a bit of a Disney milestone thing here.
What, their 40th first gay character?
No. They have a lot of gay characters in their feature films, but they're not gay characters who come out and openly say it.
Yeah, this is the first one that actually did say that he was...
Yes.
That he was openly gay.
He used coded language, but you understood what it meant.
You knew what he meant. I thought he was one of the best characters in the movie, honestly.
Too. I think he was probably my favorite character in the movie. I love the Emily Blunt and the female and the feminine and the go get him, but I really enjoyed his sense of humor and his line delivery and the fact that he had a dynamic character change.
Yeah. Well, here's my question, though.
And we're talking about Jack Whitehall as McGregor, the brother.
Now, here's my question, though. Just your thought. Does the fact that they had this character be gay, does that make him a stereotype?
I think
especially by the way he kind of was portrayed, through the majority of the first chunk of the film.
I think that through the first chunk of the first chunk of the film, he was kind kind of playing two type, yes. But I think that he proved himself not to be like stereotypical by the end. And here's the thing. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, why do gay guys or lesbian women, why do they have to appear so butch, or why do they have to look so, you know, femmy as a gay guy? I mean, that a person's just a person. So if a man is more effeminate, then that's just who he is. And if a woman is more, you know, masculine, that's just who they are. So I don't think it matters. I know, and you know, plenty of effeminate straight men.
I'm not making that argument. I was just thinking as I was watching it. Now I wonder, because again, I like the character.
Right.
I like the way he's portrayed. I like what he does. But I was wondering if people might think he was too much of a stereotype. You know.
I don't think so, because when it came down to it, his character, like, kind of went against what you would think of as type for stereotypes.
But I will say this. Let me kind of say this is something interesting, and I think this kind of leads again to kind of the good writing of the film, is that yes, we have another, another gay character, but it was used as an important plot point in the film.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It wasn't just like
for character motivation. It wasn't a. It didn't feel like a publicity stunt.
No.
You know, like
it made sense.
The characters being gay was influenced other character choices that explained why someone was doing what they were doing. So in that instance,
when he talks about it, you're like, okay, like I get his motivation now, because you kind of for a while you're like, dude, like, why are you here? Mm-hmm. But I think that also kind of keeps your faith in him throughout the movie once you heard that. Anyways, stereotypes again.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought it was going to get a little racist for a minute, and they were presenting these Brazilian tribes as cannibals. Like, for a real hot minute, I was like, oh, Disney, you better watch yourself right now. Are you going to portray Aboriginal people as, you know, crazy cannibals? But they pulled it back, and they managed to not do that.
They didn't go there.
Because I was real tense for a minute. Like, I was holding my breath on that. Speaking of holding breath, though.
Okay.
The action sequences in the water and, like, the danger sequences, I felt some real anxiety. Like, they were very much anxiety-inducing.
Again, just well thought out.
Yes. Yeah.
So one other question. I know kind of what you think. And you probably are going to disagree very heavily with my one thought. So what did you think of the Emily Blunt character? So, because I know you were really singing the praises.
In what way? I thought.
Did you think it was a good character?
Oh yeah. Okay, I think that she was a good character. A bit over the top. She was very much like, you knew from the beginning, she's a feminist, strong-headed, suffragette type of girl who's going to go out and get things done. Okay? And I think in a movie like this, you do have to kind of, play it up a little bit, but I thought she was smart. I thought she was level-headed. I thought that she allowed for character growth. I thought her costuming was amazing. So, yeah, I don't know. So what is your problem with the character?
It's not so much a problem. So okay. I liked the character. Emily Blunt's a phenomenal actor.
Okay.
Again, she holds her own with The Rock, which, in terms of charisma and just timing, that's not an easy thing to do.
No.
So I like the character. I agree with everything you said. Definitely kind of in that, our themes of strong women in action films back to back with Black Widow.
Yeah.
And here's where you're probably going to disagree with me.
Okay.
But hear me out. I would have liked it if she had had one flaw. Now, when you came out of the theater, and what you said is that you compared her to a female Indiana Jones.
Okay.
I would agree with that, except Indiana Jones is a flawed person.
Okay.
He's not a good person.
Okay, but
he has his negative qualities. Now, his negative qualities they don't define him. They're aspects of his character that make him feel a little bit more like an every person.
Okay, but what would you define as those negative qualities?
He's a grave robber.
Yeah.
Depending on how you do the math on Marion Ravenwood, he probably had sex with an underage girl.
Okay.
He is very abrasive. He doesn't have good relationships with people. He uses people to basically get what he wants.
Okay, but that just makes him a dick. Like, that doesn't make him an interesting character. That makes him a dick.
I think it makes him more of a character because it gives.
Okay, maybe it makes him more of a character, but it also legitimizes the idea that if you find an ancient artifact, you should just be able to get it, no matter where it actually came from or what culture you might be trying to steal it from. And also, you know what? Go ahead. You're a professor. You can go ahead and just have sex with underage women. Like, to me, that doesn't make it a good character. That legitimizes that white cis het men are allowed to do things because they are cute and wear a hat. And she does have flaws. She doesn't know how to swim.
So that's her one flaw.
Okay. Also, she can be stubborn. Like when she wouldn't listen to the skipper and she went up on the roof and then she fell through. And her drawing was out of perspective.
I am not trying to say that it is a bad character. I guess it would have been nice, and you can call me whatever you want, or whatever point of view, if she was wrong once.
But she was. Like, she was wrong.
It always came back in her favor. Even when she was wrong, it always came back in her favor.
In their favor.
Because
when it comes down to it, this is a Disney family movie. It came back in their favor. It's not like we're trying to, make cinematic, masterpieces. It's a Disney family movie. But to that point, I think there is a difference between having a flaw in your character and still being able to be a good person and then being a bad character. Like, okay, not a bad character as in written badly, as in this is not somebody we should hold up as a role model.
I'm not saying you have to go that extreme with her.
Okay.
I was just saying she felt a little too idealized.
Okay.
Like there was no flaw in her, And I get that, there haven't been any or very few, you can count them on the one hands of a bad shop teacher, good female representation in action movies. So I understand that.
So here's my thing, okay? We've talked about how there's generational cycles of things, like generational cycles of racism and things like that. There's generational cycles of this too. As in, there's been heroes in movies since there were movies that were male.
Yes.
So by this point, we need something a little bit more interesting than just your average hero, which is why DC keeps, flubbing up all their movies. We need something more interesting in our male character. But the fact that there's been so few female role models, superhero, adventure type characters like that, I think cartoons we've had more, but in real feature film action movies, there's been so few strong female characters that we're still on that spectrum of needing them to be pretty on top of things. Not to mention, if you give her a major flaw, then I feel like that's what a lot of people are going to jump on.
No, I won't disagree with that.
You know, if you give her some kind of, you know, big flaw, then you're going to get factions of people going, she can't be a role model. She does blah, 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 blah.
See, I wasn't even talking about a big flaw. I'm not like even saying like she kicks puppies.
She has little flaws. She's stubborn and she can't swim.
Just, you know, just like I say, you know, have her be wrong once. You know, that's it. That's all I'm saying. You know, but I understand your point.
Okay.
I understand your point.
Because I hate to always bring it back to the feminism thing. But also I don't hate to always bring it back to the feminism thing, because it's a conversation that needs to be had. Okay? I think that this was awesome because, okay, it's still not common for little girls to look and say, I want to be an explorer. I want to be, you know, I want to go on adventures. I want to travel the world. I want to be a scientist. That is not a common thing for girls to think of when they think of their careers. They're still thinking of soft sciences like psychology or, you know, being doctors, which is not a soft science, but, you know, but when you have things like this and you have things like Black Widow, you are showing little girls like, okay, you can be just as awesome and kick-ass as any of the boys out there. You know, you do not have to limit yourself. And I just think it's amazing that we have been able to get 2 female characters like that in one summer season. And that's kind of sad on itself because, like, I mean, most summers you would have several male characters who would be considered to be role models or heroes. Well, anyways, so Bucks down. Any other thoughts on the movie?
Just that it had the longest pre-credit sequence I've ever fucking seen. Like, I thought that they were gonna like do like the Marvel films usually do and wait for the end to show the title of the film and all that. It's like, no, you're like 15 minutes in and it's like, oh,
yeah. By the way, this is what movie you're at.
Okay, like I don't know why we're doing this now, but okay, if
but
that's...
it was beautiful. Like,
oh yeah, like yeah, it was just like, okay.
And the visuals and the art in this was really beautiful.
I thought, again, this is another thing that kind of links it to the Pirates of the Caribbean. I thought the CGI ranged from really neat to very dodgy.
Yeah, there were some spots where it really fell in that uncanny valley. Like, it was, yeah.
It's a problem. I understand why you want to use CGI for animals.
Right.
So that, you know, no animals were harmed. And,
well,
you know,
I mean, especially if you're wanting to pet a jaguar.
You know, I understand that. But they always make the mistake of making the animal's face too expressive.
Yeah.
You know, where it's doing things that an animal's facial muscles just can't do and express emotions they just don't do.
But it was so cute.
You know, so I felt the CGI, but as it was pointed out to me once, like, well, all the big special effects artists are working on the next Marvel film. That's why those look so good. You know, you're kind of getting the second tier, you know, with some of these. So it had a specific look, and sometimes I don't know if that look was really great, but you know, but it's again minor complaints, minor talking points, you know. Yeah, minor issues. I had a counter I was going to use. I think I'll just let it go.
I think you're tired of being yelled at.
I'm gonna make it. I'm taking my life in my hands.
Okay.
All right. So you make excellent points,
Okay.
as is usually the case because you're brilliant. You said a second ago that, and you're not wrong, sadly, that if you have a female character with flaws, you run the risk of that being what everybody clombs onto. But the other thing, and this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. So I understand this is a evil, white, bad internet boys doing bad internet boy things. So there's no winning here. So I understand that. But if you go the other way and you make them too perfect, you run the risk of them being called a Mary Sue.
Okay.
So that's all. That's the only point I want to make.
Well, and I think that, I mean, when it comes down to it, when you're in a situation where you're like family movie role model, I think Mary Sue's probably the side to err on.
Okay.
You know? Like I said, it's not like we're trying to make perfect cinematic masterpiece here. Although I did just, like, in my head popped up Cruella, which was a family movie as well, but did have a really good flawed
like deeply.
So
I don't think we needed to go that flawed here. I just,
But I think, like I said, I think she was a great role. Like, this is a movie that I want my daughters to go see and be excited about. And I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel of Lily going on a new adventure.
I was thinking of that watching it. In a way, I agree with you in that they're really good characters and it would be good to see them in a new adventure. If you do that, Disney, you need to not make the same mistake you made with Pirates of the Caribbean and try to get lost so far up the ass of your own mythology. Send them somewhere else. There's hundreds of other Disney rides you can go on. They go explore a haunted mansion and find Eddie Murphy there. I don't know.
They've already done a haunted mansion.
That's why I said Eddie Murphy, because he was in it.
Yeah.
But don't just go, oh, we have to go back to the jungle because there's more shit.
Well, now he's free, so he can go explore other places. I know they get caught up in their own.
Don't do. Oh, we decided this was going to be a trilogy now, and
They could also too make it into like an animated series.
I could see that.
Have it kind of be an adventure series that's almost like a, not quite a Dora the Explorer, not quite a Wild Kratts kind of animated exploration series too.
So. Anyway, so let's wrap this up. I've circled the block a couple times so we could get the conversation full. Give it the full time, but let's wrap it up. Final grade for Jungle Cruise.
I mean, I think it's. I've been thinking about it. I keep going back and forth. I think it's a solid A. I think. I'm not sure why I wouldn't say an A+. I mean, there were moments when I was very touched, there were moments when I was very anxious, but it didn't quite go over that hump to this is an amazing movie. Like, this is a movie I wouldn't mind watching again, and I really, really, really enjoyed it, but it's not like this is going to be. Like, I'm probably going to watch Black Widow again 27 times, so yeah, that's why she got an A+.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, what do you think?
So we have another unprecedented, well, not unprecedented since it's been precedented, but another kind of shock in that we agree this time out.
Even if she is too perfect.
I don't mock your
I'm sorry.
I don't mock your thoughts.
I'm sorry.
I don't, but I agree. I think this is a solid A film. I think there's a lot of good in here. I'm
really surprised by it. Yeah.
I was too, pleasantly surprised. The flaws are either personal taste, such as the love story feeling on me, or philosophical differences on characters and representation, but nothing so bad that would warrant it I think go see it. It's a fun movie. Have a good time. So yeah, I
enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Very, very surprising.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy we went and saw this one. I think it was a good choice.
All right.
So all right. So there you have it. Now, hopefully this will be up soon if my internet ever gets fixed. But you know, at some point, hopefully before it's the end of the summer. But yeah. But thank you for joining us, and as always, drive safe, and we'll see you at the movies.